As you might already know, Kevin McCarthy's gone from Speaker. He's ousted. Just like that, in the blink of an eye, Kevin McCarthy is gone, led by Matt Gaetz and 8 Patriots. And that I will include Nancy Mason that. What a day in politics. Our political system is now the new pop culture. So if you don't know what's happening with the speaker, and there's a lot of people who don't, but if you don't, then it's like you don't know what's happening with the Super Bowl. You're out. You're out in left field right now. And the only thing is, it's different than finding out if Kim Kardashian has beef with her sister. It's different than finding out what Ye's doing with his wife on a boat. This actually matters. To the madness that's happening in our world, Kevin McCarthy is one of the henchmen of that madness. So to see him get rolled up on by Matt Gaetz did a political drive-by. This is like Menace to Society. This is like Boys to the Hood. When you look at the movies and they do the stereotypical, and I guess a lot of that stuff's happening in real life, like everywhere now. Doesn't matter where you are. Some of these leftists, they actually believe what they're saying. They're actually getting got in the streets. Not even a drive-by. But Matt Gaetz rolled by and was like politically, and just rolled through like nothing, like it was all good. Matt Gaetz went legendary. It's very hard to do what he did, to be a leader of this type of thing. He didn't compromise. He didn't make any deals that we know of with the Democrats. Doesn't look like he did. Ilhan Omar looked like she wanted him to. I'm not going to die. I am not going to melt down this episode. We got too much to cover. I will play that clip though, where Ilhan Omar was, let's just say, interested in what Matt Gaetz had to say. But he's doing that, standing out. You think about in a classroom or whatever project you're doing at work or wherever, that type of thing. Could be a community thing, PTA, Parent Teachers Association meetings, and any type of thing. It could be volleyball. It could be orchestra. How hard is it to be the leader of a movement, to be a leader of change, and to not come across as a know-it-all or a try-hard or aloof or elite? Matt Gaetz has been able to pull it off. An amazing feat. No matter what you think about Matt Gaetz, what he pulled off here was pretty amazing. I can't believe it happened that quickly. So we're going to cover all that news. I have it ready, prepared to cover in extreme detail. The good, the bad, the ugly, the funny as well. I think the most appropriate way to start this off is to show what the Uniparty, again, another Trump flunky, a guy who Trump highlighted, supported, and is an embarrassment to our country. And this is the best way to start it off. Patrick McHenry, if you don't know what happened, this will start it off. This is what the Uniparty feels, and then the memes after it. Because one of the good things about Twitter, it has become a battle of the memes and the reply guys. Everyone's become a reply guy. But the best part of the reply guys isn't people like me who try to actually seriously address the topic. That's boring. The reply guys that do the memes, that's the fun, that's the excitement. That's what I'm talking about. Toy Mafia, that's what I'm talking about. Boring Life, that's what I'm talking about. Might be wrong, that's what I'm talking about. We have fun in that. Hopefully you had fun in that X Spaces the other day. Taco represent. Everybody get in here. It's one of those days. It's only never happened in the history of the country before, one of those days. As important as the president getting arrested, I would say. I mean, not as important, but as unprecedented. Neither of them had ever happened before. This is what the Uniparty felt. This is what they were. This is what their energy was about. It's 6 seconds of just wonderful. Let's just watch this on a loop.
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Yeah, he did. He pulled off that drive-by.
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Get wrecked.
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
You mad, bro? Damn. That's a little ass nigga too.
Subject to the call of the chair.
I didn't know he had the strength in him. He was like,
Chair
whoa.
declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Oh, is something bothering you?
Chair declares the House in
Maybe
recess,
the bow tie's
subject
too
to the
tight.
call of the chair.
Yeah, you got.
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the
chair. Wow, it's funny
Chair
when
declares the House in recess,
David can fight back against Goliath, isn't it?
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
You thought you were safe, but you weren't safe.
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call.
I don't think he's acting, y'all. It's a
Chair
small
the House
victory.
In recess, subject to the call of the chair.
It's not winning a big political civil war or anything. It is a small
victory.
victory.
In recess, subject to the call of the chair.
You know who he reminds me of?
Chair declares the House in recess.
They are what they thought. They are what we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
That's exactly what they are. What we thought they were when you got angry. You thought you were going to win the game, huh? They are. MAGA.
4 picks against Rosendale.
MAGA was what you thought they were, aren't they?
2 fumbles. What did you see about the Bears?
What did you think about MAGA? What did you think about MAGA? Get.
Well, you know, I mean, we just the Bears are what we thought they were. What we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in the preseason like it's bullshit? Bullshit. We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown them.
If you want to crown MAGA, then crown them. Get the energy out. Get the anger out, Patrick.
House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Get out. After this week of recess, Patrick going to come back all buff, too.
Recess,
he's angry.
To the call of the chair.
He's going to come out and watch. He's going to hit the gym. He's going to come back yoked up in a week. They're going to do whatever those actors do to kind of get yoked up. We're going to take some HGH or something and get yoked up. Get yoked up. We just getting started. You frustrated, bro? You
Chair
good?
Declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
You good? You all right?
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of.
I don't know, man. Some of these, they acting a little wild right now. Now, I do recognize that they will strike back. Remember, The Empire Struck Back, the best movie in the series. So that will happen. But then you also had Return of the Jedi, though. So you've got to have these small victories to get up to, not real, but to more substantial victories. What he did there was say, we're on recess. They're going on vacation. They just got back from vacation. So you get back from vacation, you do a little bit of work, all this hard work. What's the hard work? Pulling fire alarms, doing nothing, waiting for your master to tell you to vote yay or nay. These people really, they don't even know what to vote. They don't read the bills. They don't know what's happening. They're just like, I'm calling, getting more money, and you tell me, staffer, what do I do, bro? Vote yay or nay. Just like, remember the Dianne Feinstein clip. She didn't know where she was. She didn't know what time of day it was. She didn't know what the day of the month was. She didn't know what year it was. She didn't know anything. Her staffer comes up and whispers to her, and she's like, oh, just yay or aye. And then they're going to take a vacation like they did something. Well, let's hear from Matt. Because here's how they're going to try to navigate their embarrassment. Well, let me go back. Actually, I didn't highlight the memes because I brought up the memes here. Let's take a look at the memes and how powerful these memes are. Take a look at this here. I love this meme. Republicans and Democrats are in bed together, and then you have Donald Trump with the flashlight coming in, taking the picture, showing that, hey, all the little arguments and spats that they have. At the end of the night, they still in the same bed. They're still doing the same thing. And this is what it's highlighting. It really should be Matt Gaetz with the flashlight, but Donald Trump, I have no problem with that. Underlord is a great account to follow on X. They got Matt Gaetz on the big bike and Biggs, and then Kevin McCarthy running away. The memesters are in their Super Bowl because everybody has their eyes on this. The new shirt dropped from American Attire. FAFO. F around and find out. Kevin McCarthy said, bring it on. I think it was less than 24 hours when he tweeted, was it? It was very soon after he tweeted, bring it on, that he got it brought on to him. FAFO. Yeah, good riddance. Might be wrong. It's just taking out the trash. Might be wrong said, I'm the only one who loved Return of the Jedi. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. That wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my favorite. It was still good. Don't get me wrong. But Empire Strikes Back was the best. And you could use the analogy however you want. But the Empire, in this case, would be the uniparty that Matt Gaetz talked about. They will strike back, but they got. We got a new hope. We got some type of, you have to get something. It is very rare that I get on here and say that there was a win. When do I say that? I didn't even call the Bud Light thing a win. I don't think I ever called that a win. It's nice. I'm not against it, but I'm not calling that a win. I'm not going to get too sidetracked as to why. But my point is, I haven't been loosely up here saying this is a win, that's a win, this is a win. And I think I've heard a lot of loose wins that I'm like, I don't understand. Maybe it is a win. What's your definition? To me, just a win is when the establishment does not get their way. And they didn't get their way there. I don't know what happened with McCarthy. I thought he would have had a plan. He obviously didn't have a plan, or the plans fell through, or he was going kamikaze. I don't think he was going kamikaze because he's going down. He waited his whole career. A young gun, been waiting his whole career. He saw Boehner get the motion never came to the floor from Mark Meadows, but he threatened it, and then Boehner resigned. Newt Gingrich has shown his true colors. We already knew what he was, and he had his issues as speaker, and he had to go. And the reason why I don't think this is what they wanted is Kevin McCarthy's legacy. He's going to try to salvage it by saying, I was for Ukraine, I was for the establishment. But at the end of the day, you were speaker for what, a hot second? You were speaker for how long? A few months? Embarrassing. You were the first speaker for someone to put their boot in your ass and get you up out of there. You're the first one. Congrats. This is the biggest, I would say this is the biggest action in response to Donald Trump getting arrested 4 times that we have seen thus far. This is the most substantive reaction. Now, he could get replaced with another corporate shill that's maybe a better corporate shill like Jim Jordan. We'll get into that. But you still sent a message. This is going to be a battle. This is going to be a battle of censorship. Censorship leads to the NWO, says Middle Maggie, you must be getting throttled, bro. I don't know. Yeah. I was thinking about that as far as channel throttled. I'm not going to go kind of making excuses or anything like that. I appreciate it. I didn't get throttled. You found the show, so I'm feeling good on this historic day. But right now, so we are in a battle because we still have that 45-day. We are in turmoil. So that I will agree with people who say that. That's a good thing. This is good turmoil. So we didn't get the government shutdown, but we got this. So Matt Gaetz led. If it weren't for Matt Gaetz, who would have done this? You look at the 8. I'm going to go through the 8 who voted in detail. You look at the 8. It was nobody else that was going to lead this. It was up to Matt Gaetz putting his life on the line. We're talking about going against the Great Reset. Matt Gaetz out of his own mouth said uniparty, globalization. He's going against everyone. The Great Reset, the Republican, Democrat uniparty, the Ukraine war machine, the DOD, CIA, deep state, administrative state. Like Matt Gaetz has to, I don't even know how he goes home at night. Does he have 24/7 security? How does he go home at night? I don't even know how I'd be able to sleep. Would you, if you are Matt Gaetz right now, would you be able to sleep? How? I would hear a cricket. I'd be like, oh, I would be, I wouldn't even be able to live. That's how deep this is. So I don't know how you would protect your home, how you would protect your life. I mean, the swatting stuff that we've seen with that's scary enough, that's nothing to compare to what Matt Gaetz has to worry about. Taco said, good trouble is the best trouble, and that's what we've got. We've got some great trouble here. Richard, who is, I would say, friend of the show. It's good. I haven't seen you in a minute, Richard. Richard says, the Republicans are a joke, and they showed us today. That is the argument from the other side. And I'm going to play that clip for you. That is what we're going to hear. This is how they're going to navigate it. They can't win this argument. So they're going to go very, very general and say, look, the MAGA group, they can't do it. They can't govern.
The Republican Party today just can't govern. Nancy Pelosi, with a 5-vote majority, she was able to govern. The Democrats have become the party of discipline, and the Republicans have become the party that lacks discipline. And the Republican Party today just can't govern. Nancy Pelosi, with a 5-vote majority, she was able to govern. The Democrats have become the party of discipline, and the Republicans have become the party that lacks discipline. And the Republican Party
So that's the Richard argument?
Nancy
That's the
Pelosi,
argument you're going to hear from the corporate? And if you hear it from Ari Fleischer, you know you're going to hear it from everyone. Former White House press secretary. Ari also posted on X, unbelievable, the Democrats, with the help of Matt Gaetz and a handful of GOP members, just ousted the Republican Speaker of the House. What a mess. This is so foolish. Why would anyone want to be Speaker of the House? Your terms are acceptable. Your terms are acceptable. If nobody wants to do it, then we effectively got a government shakeup. Remember, Michael Moore said it's like throwing a figurative Molotov cocktail into D.C.? That's what happened today. And it happened because of Donald Trump in part. You got to give Donald Trump credit for that. The whole MAGA movement, you wouldn't have Matt Gaetz without Donald Trump. Not this version of Matt Gaetz. Not this MAGA, ultra extremist, dark, whatever label you want version of Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz said, I told you what the terms were. You didn't listen to what the terms were, so then now you got what you got from us. Don't let it happen again. And what happens when they get the next speaker? You better have those same terms. So Matt Gaetz, when Matt Gaetz says, you want to do this stuff, you want to go behind the back and try to get money to Ukraine, you want to get nuts, let's get nuts.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
That's the message that Matt Gaetz sent today. And if you see Richard and others, oh, the Republicans are a joke. What chaos? What are they trying to do? Why are they acting like this? Here's the actual truth. So that's how they want to paint it. But Matt Gaetz is like a one-man army out here. The truth is, Matt Gaetz is like, I want to get to work. What did y'all think this was? Matt Gaetz is going on and doing the one-man army media tour, defending himself, the country and liberty and the institution basically by himself.
Now the man behind today's effort that led to the ouster of the now former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Congressman Matt Gaetz, joins me live. Congressman, thanks for being with us tonight. I want to get right to the criticism, chief criticism by some of your GOP colleagues that we've been covering, that and the angle made the point that it took your aligning with Democrats and even pals of Liz Cheney and the Republican Party like Ken Buck to produce a result that as of now has no solution. So what's your response to that?
Well, the solution's quite easy. We should get to electing a new, more conservative, more trustworthy speaker immediately.
It sounded, Laura, like that was a question that came from your heart. Like, that wasn't like, I'm going to play devil's advocate. That was more like Laura, it looked like Laura kind of felt some kind of way.
And even pals of Liz Cheney and the Republican Party like Ken Buck to produce a result that as of now has no solution. So what's your response to that?
Well, the solution's quite easy. We should get to electing a new, more conservative, more trustworthy speaker immediately. And I'm calling on Patrick McHenry, who currently is the Speaker pro tem.
That's who you just saw slam the gavel.
To reconsider the decision that he just made to send everyone in Congress home for a week. This is not the time to go home for a week. We should stay and elect a new speaker. That's the path ahead. As far as the criticism that I worked with Democrats, the yellow brick road of working with Democrats was paved by Kevin McCarthy. Whether it was the debt limit deal, whether it was the continuing resolutions, this is a guy who was willing to partner with conservatives on the frivolous,
right.
But whenever there was a spending matter, he partnered with Democrats. That said, Speaker McCarthy's time is over. I wish him well. I have no personal animus to him. I hope he finds fruitful pastures, and I'm certain he will. But we've got a job to do here. This is about the job. This is about keeping our commitment to have single.
So Matt Gaetz did the drive-by, just rolled down the window, kick, and then he said, "Rest in peace. I'm going to attend the funeral." With dignity, too.
Single subject spending bills and an actual budget
for the
first time.
Congressman, we've already established tonight that I have been doing this with all due respect, decades longer than you. Okay, you're a young guy. And so I agree with all.
I don't believe that, Laura. Did you start
right.
when you were like 3? You
right.
Too young
Continuing resolutions, the budget, the spending, it's a total nightmare.
What is Laura Ingraham doing here? You've been doing what longer? You ever been in Congress?
We've already established tonight that I have been doing this with all due respect, decades longer than you. Okay.
What the hell are you talking about? You've been doing what longer? Being a talking head?
You're a young guy. And so I agree with all.
I don't believe that, Laura. Did you start when you were like 3? You
right. Continuing resolution.
This is the Trump meme coming in the bedroom, and they're looking at Laura. I was going to say Laura Loomer, not Laura Loomer. You're looking at Laura Ingraham, and you see her in bed with Chuck Schumer. You're like, oh, okay. Just figuratively speaking, you're like, oh, okay. This is an awakening and a clear alignment of where people stand.
Solutions, the budget, the spending, it's a total nightmare. But the fact of the matter is, y'all don't have the votes. You don't have the margin
You don't have the votes for what? He got him out. What do you mean he doesn't have the votes? It was what, 216 to 210? The problem was, how do you get him up out of there? That's been solved. Now, there is a new problem, who to pick next. But like Matt said, well, let's not take a recess. Let's figure that out.
To get from A to B to C. And so how does this get you closer?
I categorically reject that we don't have the votes for a budget.
Hold on a second, Matt.
How is she big dogging him? And I agree completely with you, Boring Life. How is she think that she has the ability to big dog someone who led one of the most historic political chess moves in the history, objectively in the history of our country? And she's going to have him on the show and say, you're a young guy. I've been doing this longer than you. Doing what exactly? Bringing out the knee pads for the establishment? You've been doing that a lot longer than me. I'm good, though.
You get closer to all these things that are legitimate concerns when you still have a Senate that says no can do. I mean, you got several senators who are actually completely on the other side on a lot of these issues.
Right.
You still have that.
What does that have to do with anything? That's why you can't pass any bills. What the Senate does, I can't control.
Have to contend with. So how do you get to your nirvana points, which are the conservative holy grail points of governance, the way we're going?
The Senate does not control how the House approaches its spending business.
All right, hold on, Congressman. Hold on, because we got to go to McCarthy now. He's speaking live, but then you can respond on the other side. All right, we'll continue to monitor that. But back with me now is Congressman Matt Gaetz.
Yeah.
Congressman, I know you've been listening in to former Speaker McCarthy's comments.
We don't want to hear from the loser. Like, we just had the Super Bowl, the historic moment. You might go to the locker room real quick, see them cry a little bit, and then leave. And let's talk to the victor.
Comments. He name-checked you and said, number one, you're not a real conservative because you don't want to govern conservatively. He also said that this really was
What does that even mean anymore, people? I honestly don't know what that means. What does it mean to govern conservatively when you're spending money through the roof? You don't agree on a budget, Kevin McCarthy. So they just throw these words around, and I don't know what it means to be a conservative. Little C or big C.
personal, intimating that you're really PO'd, that he didn't step in and put down that ethics investigation into you. And he knows it's personal, and you know it's personal. And you say?
That's totally false. I'm the most investigated man in the entire United States Congress. I've been cleared by the FBI, DOJ, the Federal Election Commission.
But you don't think that McCarthy did enough to stop this? I mean, wasn't that well known that you were mad that he didn't do enough to stop that investigation? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being mad, by the way.
I'm not. By the way, the beginning of Speaker McCarthy's comments there were lovely and nice about his past and his history. But when he says we're not conservative because we didn't vote to secure the border, I think that does merit a response. We passed a Department of Homeland Security border bill that would have required E-Verify with a host of other reforms. Then, on a continuing resolution, Kevin McCarthy wanted us to surrender every other fight. Jack Smith, weaponized government, everything else going on, just to isolate the border thing. Now, I don't believe that the way conservatives get ahead is surrendering everything but the border in order to address the border. And I don't think that the way to address the border is to pass E-Verify.
Our founding fathers would be proud at this moment. Do not get it twisted. That's what it's designed to do. To have a small, even if it is a small majority or a small minority, because we have three parties right now, MAGA, Republicans, Democrats. And in this case, you had 8 MAGA. Just from this vote, they're not all MAGA. I'm trying to think. I don't even know who's MAGA anymore. Lauren Boebert didn't vote. Lauren Boebert voted to keep Kevin McCarthy. Of course, MTG did. I don't know what Kevin McCarthy has in MTG. It must be good. Laura Loomer has talked about stuff. I'm not going to get into that, but it must be good. I don't know. Kevin McCarthy might like those buff. You ever looked at the buff women on, there's buff women on websites and stuff like that. They show the women that got muscles bigger than my head and stuff like that. And that's MTG. I don't know. Allegedly, he might be into that, and he might have something over her. I don't know. Maybe you think it's sexy. I'm not saying it's bad, but whatever he has on her is, or maybe she's that ambitious. What is Marjorie Taylor Greene going to do at this point? She's either going to be a lifelong. It doesn't look like she has a good chance at Senate. She would need to make a lot of money. I don't know. Georgia is a blue state. They're electing Warnock and Ossoff or whatever his name is, and they're more into like the corporate and establishment. She's got a rural District 14. So she's not going to be able to move to Senate easily. She would need $1 billion to get there, and maybe she could get that. But she seems like a lifer in Congress, and she was for McCarthy. Are we all in agreement now that MTG? So was Jim Jordan, and Matt Gaetz backed Jim Jordan. I might cover that in a second with the tweets when I do cover Jim Jordan. Do we all agree that Marjorie Taylor Greene is she should be at arm's length away? Let's just say that. Just like if you've got somebody kind of invading your space, once they can't get within arm's length of you, there's problems. Can we all agree with that now? Boring Life says Detroit moved to Georgia and runs the place. Basically a lot. Matthew Ulrich says big ovary energy. That's a hell of a term. Ray Studios in the building. Maybe the Matrix got a hold of Bobert and MTG. I think what happened with I think Bobert got a little stage fright from the whole exposed titty incident. That's how I know it as. People know it as the feel up incident, the vape incident, the theater incident. I think she hasn't really felt the same since that. I don't know why. There was a lot for her to be proud of that moment. But I think that's kind of throwing her vibe off. I honestly think that played a role here. I was going to say, for everyone, Richard in the chat, Richard's like, I'm not worried. Richard's scared as hell. Richard, don't be scared, man. We just love our country. It's okay. Richard says, might be missing something, but I'm not worried. Popcorn as of now. So that's Richard being scared. And Richard, don't worry. It's no beef. We just love our country. Just be happy, bro.
Are they friend or foe?
I went down.
I don't know. I actually felt good. I felt water on my face. I said, where the hell is that? They may be doing that on purpose. Let's find out if they're friend or foe. And if they're foe, let's take care of those son of a bitches.
I don't know, and every day is so woke. Why is there a feminist in every TV show? I can't watch a movie without seeing rainbows. I can't find the male music, God is not wearing girl clothes. The reason why I should be banned on everything. I'm a hateful bigot and everything I say is so mean. I should believe all women because every girl is a queen. Tell me something I don't know. Cause wild out are so predictable. Everything's political. Why are you so sad and miserable? I think you're mad because I'm happy. You want me to happy. Just maybe I'm not the one that's crazy. Maybe you saw your fair. Think men can't have babies. And now you hate me, but it doesn't faze me. I wouldn't wear a dress even if a label baby. I know. The reason why I should be banned on everything. I'm a hateful bigot and everything I say is so mean. I should believe all women because every girl is a queen. Tell me something I don't know. Cause wild out are so predictable. Everything's political. Why are y'all so sad and miserable? I think you're mad because I'm happy. You want me to happy.
Yo, let's talk about the 8. That's the Bryson Gray Trump AI cover, Happy. One of my favorite Bryson Gray songs. I love that song. Bryson's got a lot of good songs. He's got his website, allccg.com. Went up there, saw him and Tyson James. They release all their new stuff. They got new videos. They got stuff on there that they don't have on the YouTube, or you get it early. So shout out to them. Let's talk about the 8. I'm going to bring up the information on the 8 and there was a couple surprises here. I thought Lauren Boebert would go, but you didn't see that. The only person that I think the only person I wasn't surprised at was Matt Rose. I'm going to leave Matt Rosendale for last. There's a lot to like about Matt Rosendale, somebody who I didn't even know who he was until the earlier in January 5th. We were going through the whole speaker vote thing, and he came up, he had a speech, and I was like, in the beginning of this, I did this live. In the beginning of the speech, I was like, it's just one of those speeches and whatever. And then like halfway through the speech, I was like, wait a second, this is a bomb ass speech. Like, I wasn't expecting this. And then he'd been on my map. I did a top 10 winners of that, and he was my number 2 maybe or so after Byron Donalds. Byron Donalds really used that and came up on that, didn't he? Byron Donalds is putting his name in for anything and everything now. Let's look at the 8. These are the 8 people, I would say the 8 patriots in this scenario here. Nancy Mace, a part of this. Yo, this is wild. So I have just a little bit of information on them. Let me go up to where I have the full list of the 8 here. I kind of broke down just a little bit on every single one of them. Some of them I'm not that familiar with. We know Andy Biggs. I was not surprised about. So Andy Biggs, Matt Rosendale, was not surprised by them. The 8 people who voted to oust Kevin McCarthy, along with the Dems. Andy Biggs, Arizona. He's great. Ken Buck, Colorado 4. I'm in Colorado, if you don't know. Tim Burchett. I'm not familiar with Tim. Is that even how you pronounce the name? Eli Crane. That's a freshman sticking his neck out. 2 Arizonas representing. Of course, Matt Gaetz, Bob Good, Virginia. Nancy, I don't know why they said Macy. ChatGPT is funny. Nancy Mace, Republican, South Carolina. That was a surprise to me. Anybody else surprised with Nancy Mace? Was I the only one surprised by that one? I was very surprised by that. So going through, here's just a little bit of details on them. So I said, let's get some background on them. Andy Biggs, one of the best members of the House. Andy Biggs represents Arizona's 5th congressional district, known for his ultra, I don't know what conservative is. I would consider him MAGA. There's not many people I just designate MAGA anymore. Is Lauren Boebert MAGA? She says ultra MAGA, but she voted for McCarthy here? His ultra MAGA stance. According to DW Nominate, a political science metric, Biggs is more conservative than 98% of the 117th Congress. I thought we were 118th. Maybe they probably did that old one. He has consistently opposed the Republican Party establishment and has been a part of the House GOP since 2009. I didn't even know who he was till recently. Biggs is a member of the House Freedom Caucus. House Freedom Caucus represent a group within the House aligned with the Tea Party movement, a much more based than the Tea Party movement. I mean, because I think Ted Cruz was Tea Party. Ken Buck, Colorado 4th. This is somewhat a surprising one. Buck was not always in opposition to McCarthy. He's been a defender of McCarthy in the past, but his vote against McCarthy indicates a significant shift. Buck is a member of the House Freedom Caucus, a group known for, we've got a couple people in there, tactics in alignment with the Tea Party movement. Now, just because somebody's in the House in the Freedom Caucus doesn't mean they're Freedom Caucus, like they're for freedom. Just a name. There's a lot of people in the progressive, what do they call them? Progressive caucus, and they're all trash. Tim Burchett represents Tennessee's 2nd congressional district. I don't know. Let me look at his face. I don't know him. Why do I not know him? I bet I would probably recognize him if I saw him. I'm just going to, no, actually, I don't think I do recognize him. Has a beard. Oh, is he? Wow, did he grow a beard? I didn't recognize him with the beard. Is that reason or? Yeah. So anybody tell me what you think about him? I don't know much about him. So I'm just going through kind of the information we've got on him. He's Tennessee. He voted in favor of the National Defense Authorization Act for 2024. He's also been active in discussions about the UFO type stuff, indicating a willingness to engage in less mainstream topics. So I don't know what to think about him at all. Moving along, the next person we have is Eli Crane. Eli Crane, we've had some freshmen, Anna Paulina Luna, it's a freshman as well. She did not vote with this group, but I don't blame her. She's a freshman. Eli Crane is a freshman Republican representing Arizona's newly redrawn district. Before entering politics, Crane served 5 wartime deployments and spent 13 years in the military. He then started Bottle Breacher, a company featured on Shark Tank. The signature product was a .50 caliber bullet fashioned into a bottle opener. I watched that episode probably on record. If you don't know, I'm a big fan of Shark Tank. I have quite a few Shark Tank items at the crib. A lot of them don't work out as well as you'd hope, but some of them do. Crazy how much Cruz has been exposed. Yeah, Cruz has been exposed. I've always, but the thing with Cruz is I've always known, and he's kind of always been that dude, that corporate dude that kind of warms up. I think it's like people like Newt Gingrich, who kind of really went hard, like populist, trying to be populist, has been exposed. Tom Cotton. I guess you could say all these guys we knew. Marjorie Taylor Greene, we kind of knew from like late last year, early this year, but that's a real being exposed. Suck my caucus. Caucus is nothing more than a political gang. That's literally all it is. Richard says 8 raked their career. Do you think 8 will go the other way after weeks without a speaker? What do you mean the other way? I mean, at this point, he's gone. And because I thought that I thought it would take 2 days. And I thought even if McCarthy was gone, that he would run again, because who's going to be the one? And they would just fall into him again. He was like, I'm out. Sounds like there's I want to make sure, because these words, I'm for secession, but it sounds like there is a secession plan, a successor. So it looks like Kevin McCarthy already knew. I thought that there was a plan with the Democrats to keep him in power, because it's embarrassing for him to be speaker for so short of a time. But it looks like the plan was be out, and there's somebody who's going to be his successor, the secession plan. So I don't know if Jim Jordan's in on it or what's going on, but it kind of feels like Kevin McCarthy knew this was it. But he said, bring it on. That was weird that he would have tweeted that if he really knew that there was going to be a plan to kind of get that next person in, if it's Steve Scalise or whoever else. So Crane's political career has been marked by strong anti-establishment stance, despite receiving an endorsement from former President Trump and campaign donations, but from a political action committee aligned with McCarthy. Crane voted against McCarthy 14 times in a row in January. He's expressed that his constituents view McCarthy as a part of the establishment. They sent him into Washington to upend. Crane's rigid anti-McCarthy stance. He was another one that's not a surprise. I just forget about him. Caught many Republicans by surprise, as he had never made voting against McCarthy a campaign promise. That he was a surprise in January, because I didn't know where he'd be. And Paulina Luna was a surprise in January. But now looking back, now that you know, not a surprise. Matt Gaetz. Yeah, we know. Matt Gaetz. Been a vocal critic, accusing him of being a squatter. Matt Gaetz went savage on him. And in such a kind, respectful way, too. Matt Gaetz didn't take any victory lap. I tried to make funny, like he's trying to say, hey, he's gone. That beginning part was cute. But in reality, Matt Gaetz is not taking a victory lap, not making fun of him. He's like, let's get to work. We got to get a speaker now. I respect that. And Matt Gaetz has been just based. He's almost so good, I don't want him to be VP. I want him to be governor or do something else. You don't want someone that good to be VP unless you want him to be president next time around. I guess you could. I just don't see. I see Matt Gaetz as governor now. And governors are very important, very powerful. Bob Good won office in 2020 after they ousted Denver Riggleman, who had angered social conservatives. He did this officiating of a gay marriage. I don't know that story, but I don't have a problem if someone officiates a gay marriage off rip. I mean, there could be more to it, but if you're very religious, I can understand your concerns. But so that establishment person got kicked up out. He stated, Bob Good, everyone supporting Kevin McCarthy, or at least voicing their support for Kevin McCarthy, is doing so in their own selfish political interests. Everyone who is opposing Kevin McCarthy is doing so in conflict with their own selfish political interests. And they're doing so because they believe it is right and they believe it's important for the country. And I came upon Nancy Mace. Took me a while to get some stuff on it. But Nancy Mace, South Carolina, just like Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, assumed office January 3rd, 2021. And she took over for Joe Cunningham. Mace's political journey is marked with a series of firsts. She was the first woman to graduate from the Citadel, the military college of South Carolina. Of course, before her congressional tenure, she served in the South Carolina State House of Representatives. And she made that decision. She's not someone that I would have picked, or I would have not picked, but would have expected. And I think that she is a good example of what the power is of rewarding people. That's why I want to highlight these people. I'm not like I can give out rewards, but these are people that you should know. To give them that DAP or whatever it is, send them a letter, email the office. They probably look at letters more. Give them shout outs on Twitter. You reward the good behaviors, the children will act right. In Washington, D.C., they are our children. They are not our masters. So if you reward them for acting foolish like Donald Trump, then Donald Trump will act a fool. And I'm not talking about his rhetoric. I'm talking about not going to the debate and yada, yada, yada. If you let them act a fool, they're going to act a fool. If you let your children have candy for dinner, they're going to eat candy for dinner. If you let your children take your money and give it to another country, they'll take your money and give it to another country and launder it, wash it, and they'll inside trade on it, and they'll get rich. They will do that. And if you don't, then even these corporate shills, they might get in line. And Matt Gaetz made an example out of Kevin McCarthy. And I think Nancy Mace is like, okay, my constituents would want this. I'm going to do this. But the feedback I got from X is a lot of people still don't trust her. I don't trust anybody. So I'm good with that. Let's go to Matt Rosendale. So we can take a break and take a look at this. This is Matt Rosendale. This is the moment where I figured out that I'm a Matt Rosendale fan. Let me go back to the January 5th debate over Speaker.
We are participating in a system that has endured 247 years through drought and through flood, through world wars and through a civil war. And some way we return to this place year after year to serve the people of the United States of America. But unfortunately, over the past 15 years, the process that we use has been dramatically broken. The voices.
So this speech was a part of the speech January 5th that we did cover on the channel. And what he's doing is he's leading up to, he's going to nominate, I'm not going to play that part. He's going to nominate eventually Byron Donalds as Speaker of the House. And before they did that, they all did a little speech.
That were sent here to equally represent each of the 435 districts across this nation have become diminished. This through the consolidation of power into the hands of the Speaker and a fortunate few who happen to serve on the Rules Committee, which control every aspect of legislation that travels through this body.
Let's not forget, Nancy Pelosi got into power. She had a very similar small majority with Democrats. And Ari Fleischer was saying Nancy Pelosi was able to get them in line. I do this, I tell you to jump, you say how high. And she ran that thing. Nobody tested her. They got something different. They got the rules changed. And that's what led us to this moment. That these courageous people, Matt Rosendale, one of the few who voted against Kevin McCarthy multiple times and then flipped, then it voted against him again now, set the stage for this in January. If they didn't get the rules changes, the big one, there's a lot of them that Nancy Pelosi did, from the pandemic to not being able to vacate a speaker easily. I forgot how the rule was set up. She changed it to make it harder. They were fighting for that right here. That's what led to this moment. It wasn't an accident.
The debate and the discussion has been all but eliminated, and the balance of us are left to vote yes or no. Those are our options, and that is what has led to the disintegration of the relationships that we see across this floor.
So they're trying to label Matt Rosendale and everyone else there, especially that 8, as extremist MAGA who can't govern. Does this sound like someone? This is just talk, but I believe it, and their actions show it to me by taking the risk of going after somebody as powerful as Kevin McCarthy, so well connected with money and people, and he's like a minor league Nancy Pelosi. Does this sound like someone who doesn't want to or know how to govern? Notice he's talking about relationships.
Disintegration of the relationships that we see across this floor.
What he's saying is when you bring these bills up right against a deadline of recess, of vacation, of holidays, you vote yes or no. There's so many things in the bill. You could get painted as, if I say no because of this other spending, oh, what about the veterans or whatever else? They put all these earmarks in there too. That's what he's talking about. And he's like, well, I can't, how do you debate that? That's why you need the single subject bills. So he's talking about the relationships. And then right here, listen to how good this is. I want to speak and break this up because to me, at least when I just listen to it, it's hard to hear how good this is. So I got to break it up.
Of the relationships that we see across this floor. That is not equal representation, which is guaranteed by our Constitution and expected by our constituents. We have had more discussion and debate over the last 3 days than I have participated in on this floor for the last 2 years. And it's healthy. It absolutely promotes the collegiality that everyone is striving to obtain. We're having discussions not just within our own party, but amongst each other as we walk around and start planning for the legislation that we will need to address over the next 2 years in the 118th Congress, that sooner or later, yes, sooner or later, we will begin to function as.
Does that sound like someone who doesn't want to govern? Ari? So he broke it down to like relationships.
Start planning for the legislation that we will need to.
So he broke it down to, we want to have debate over this stuff.
Striving to obtain. We're having discussions not just within our own party, but amongst each other.
When he's looking to his left, he's looking at the Democrats.
As we walk around and start planning for the legislation that we will need to address over the next 2 years in the 118th Congress, that sooner or later, yes, sooner or later, we will begin to function as.
Excellent words, excellent speech by Matt. I would suggest to search Matt Rosendale in YouTube, and you'll probably find it. He went on to talk about even more stuff with earmarks and all that other stuff. It was great, great moment. He was one of the 8. And who am I forgetting on the 8? I'm trying to remember. There was somebody else. I think it's only one more person. Nope. Is that it? Nope. That's it. I did the whole 8. Andy Biggs, just a recap. Andy Biggs, Ken Buck, Tim Burchett, Eli Crane, Matt Gaetz, Bob Good, Nancy Mace, Matt Rosendale. Those are your Patriots. Those are the ones who led it, along with Matt Gaetz. Here's what the Uniparty thinks of people like Matt Rosendale. Tom Cotton came out and showed his true colors, which is always appreciated. I like data. So Dan Merca says, Matt Rosendale said last week at a private donor briefing that he prayed each night before the 2022 midterms that Republicans would only have a small House majority, not the so-called red wave. Rosendale is considering a Montana Senate run. And they're going at Matt Rosendale as if this is an own, as if this is a bad thing. No. Don't do that. You see what he's doing strategically, saying if we have a small majority led by MAGA, then that actually is more powerful than a larger majority where someone like Kevin McCarthy could get the votes. This couldn't happen. What happened right now couldn't happen. And Dan knows that. And Tom knows that. Tom knows that better than anyone. Tom Cotton knows that what happened with the power to oust Kevin McCarthy would not have happened if the Republicans had a little bit bigger majority. That what Matt Rosendale is saying, a Republican majority is not a MAGA majority. If Tom Cotton could say the extra seats were MAGA seats, he would say flood the gates. We want as much MAGA as possible. What he's saying is you don't want more corporate Republicans to dilute the power of MAGA. MAGA could still work with Democrats in the way if there should be alignment with the populist Democrats, but that doesn't happen all the time. So they would have no power. Tom Cotton knows that. So I don't know why he's acting like this, but I mean, it's just a stupid thing to try to own him on. So he says Maryland Matt Rosendale prays for Democrats. He's scared about him going to the Senate. Prays for Democrats to win elections. They don't want MAGA in the Senate. MAGA's coming for the Senate. Who's running for Senate? Blake Masters did. Carrie Lake is going to have to dispose of Blake Masters, though. If Blake doesn't know when to fall back, he might have to get disposed of. You've got my boy in Ohio. Why is his name escaping me? Oh, sorry. He's one of the best senators out there, and I don't know. It's late at night. JD Vance. JD Vance is like, thanks a lot, bro. His name escaped me for whatever reason. JD Vance in Ohio. You've got Carrie Lake, and then you've got Matt Rosendale potentially running for Senate. Carrie Lake's not official yet. That's what I think she's going to announce. Is it this week? I forgot. Maybe it's next week. I forgot when she's going to do her announcement. They're getting a little worried because there's no MAGA in the Senate right now. You got Josh Hawley, who's good corporate, I guess I would call him. Rand Paul, who's good corporate, I guess I would call him. But there's no MAGA up in there. You get Matt Rosendale, then you might have some MAGA. We'll see. When you get to that big money, it's tough. People change. So he says he prayed for Democrats to win elections. So you got in your feelings because he didn't want your pals to get up in there. Did God answer his prayers in 2018 when John Tester humiliated him? This is just one of many, many reasons that Maryland Matt, he's trying to do the Trump thing with the nicknames. Maryland Matt won't come within a country mile of the Senate. So we're in one of the most iconic moments in the history of our country, in the middle of it. And did Tim do this on the 3rd or the 2nd? Tim did this on the 3rd today. We've seen one of the most iconic things happen in the House. And Tom Cotton, his energy is at going at Matt Rosendale. Isn't that information good information to know that that's where that dude stands? How about the meltdown by the one that we affectionately refer to as wait for it. Wait for it. We haven't talked about him in a while on the show. We have some of the best discussion and clown sessions is talking about this dude right here. We know him as Eye Patch McCain.
People call me terrible names. I'm not allowed to clutch my pearls when I get called terrible names. Like, how could you, Dan? How could you? How could you, Dan? Oh, they call me Eye Patch McCain.
The one, the only, Dan Crenshaw, Eye Patch McCain.
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 He's like John McCain with an eye patch.
Eye Patch McCain. Hey, Eye Patch McCain. Eye Patch McCain.
They call me Eye Patch McCain. They call me Eye Patch McCain. They call me Eye Patch McCain. Eye Patch. Eye Patch. Eye Patch. Eye Patch. They call me Eye Patch McCain. Eye Patch McCain. Eye Patch.
Who did that one? Which memester did that one? That just took me back. I haven't listened to Mad Lion in a long time. One of my favorites where I didn't even know what genre we called that with the reggae style, but it was just like rapping almost. MAGA Devil Dog has got to be a hip hop fan. You've got to be a 90s hip hop fan. Take it easy.
This Brooklyn pussy make we lick shot. This Mad Lion make we lick shot. This Bronx pussy make we lick shot. This Third pussy make we lick shot.
We're having a MAGA party tonight.
Calm down, Lion. Calm down. Take it.
Remember Yo MTV Raps? These was crazy, man. The music, man. Just looking back, man, we had some culture back then. The American culture was peak American culture. I'm not gonna get too much. I can sidetrack to so many different things. But how is he gonna put a Mad Lion reference in there and me not talk about it? That just wouldn't be prudent. Let me go back to the comment from Metalopoly, because I do like the political chess. I'm going to take... Wait, that's Taco. Sorry. They're doing what they're elected to do. I apologize. Let's see this. So I forget, I can't get it, but I remember what you were saying. You're saying that why did the Democrats... So Metalopoly basically said the Democrats are going to regret teaming up with the Republicans to oust Kevin McCarthy. And I'm trying to think what's the political chess there for them. Did McCarthy kind of fake like he didn't know? Was when McCarthy tweeted, I don't know, we're just talking here because now I'm all over the map. But when McCarthy tweeted, "Bring it on," was it a bluff? Did he already know, yeah, when Matt Gaetz makes the move, I'm just gonna go and the Democrats are gonna vote and I know it's done. I'm gonna act like it's not. And then we are going to bring in Jim Jordan, who's really the one. Because remember when the speaker stuff happened in January, I want to go back to that live. I said, I forgot how, but I was like, Jim Jordan was playing games. I thought it was going to be Jim Jordan was going to be the speaker. And then they're going to get, not that I'm actually against Jim Jordan, but he acts whack sometimes. He tries to play both sides. So I actually don't know what the political chess there is. I'm going to stop guessing because I didn't think he was going to get ousted at all, much less before the 2 days that they could have delayed it. So I was really surprised by that. So I don't know what to even say. Newt Gingrich called them, did he call them traitors? Did Newt Gingrich call these patriots traitors? Traitors to their country? Let me just double check and see what he said here. I think he did. I'm not sure. Let me not accuse him. Let me just get his words out here.
96% of the Republicans voted for McCarthy. 4% voted against him. From my position as a longtime Republican activist, they're traitors. All 8 of them should, in fact, be primaried. They should all be driven out of public life.
Wow.
But they
Newt.
96% of the Republicans voted for McCarthy. 4% voted against him. From my position as a longtime Republican activist, they're traitors. All 8 of them should, in fact, be primaried. They should all be driven out of public life. What they did was to go to the other team to cause total chaos. We ought to be focusing on Biden. We ought to be focusing on the economy.
See, that's what that impeachment nonsense was about. I saw you, Newt. Yeah, I know you want us to focus on this decrepit old man that really is the past of the party. Why would you waste political capital in impeaching him and all that kind of stuff? But that's what Newt wants his energy to be. But Newt knows as well as anybody else, the biggest priority for the House is money. If you're not talking money, you're not talking anything. So go after Biden for how? What are you talking about?
To cause total chaos. We ought to be focusing on Biden. We ought to be focusing on the economy.
No matter what you think, and a lot of people on the channel disagree with me, they want Biden impeached. No matter what you think, I think most people would agree, the power of the purse is orders of magnitude more important than anything that has to do with Joe Biden. And that's why McCarthy got ousted. Because like Matt Gaetz said, every time it came to where does the money go, you were off somewhere else.
We ought to be focusing on the border. Instead, you're going to get a week or 10 days.
And even Newt and them, they talk about the border in such a weak way. They just use it as a distraction, not even like how you want to talk about the border. Like if you're not talking about the border from the standpoint of replacement theory, then you're not talking about the border. That's if you aren't talking about the border from, you can say white replacement, but I would say more just American Western culture, American replacement. They're trying to replace me. It's not really white or black, but if you do highlight the white, fine. If you highlight the black, fine. I don't have a problem with you. Either way. The replacement theory thing is real. And if you're not talking about, and Newt is not talking about it from that standpoint, if you talk about it from the standpoint of this is what's happening, we are getting replaced, we are getting diluted, then I'll give you credit on the immigration talk. If you're not doing that, I ain't giving you any credit on it. This is Tucker. I put this together, just splicing together Tucker Carlson. This, if you're talking about immigration like this, and this is an example of a blackity black who I respect, I highly respect Dr. Claude Anderson, and I respect Tucker Carlson. They both agree on this.
To understand, Yale University released a study last week by 3 researchers, all of them liberal, I believe, who concluded that the actual number of illegal aliens in this country is not 11 million. It's north of 22 million. 22 million.
We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians.
The Democratic Party is now, as a matter of policy, calling for the legalization of all illegals in this country, citizenship voting rights, 22 million new voters.
You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years.
You would add to our voter rolls 22 million, at least, permanent electoral majority in perpetuity.
You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4.
That's what this is about. It's not about making the country better, serving our labor needs, helping the population. It's about putting Democrats in power forever. That is the truth of our immigration debate, period.
Now, common sense, even a 3rd grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4.
That if you're not talking about immigration, and if you hear people talking about immigration and they are afraid of that discussion there, they are where I need them to be. And that's where Newt brings up Biden and immigration, just throwing these things out there. That's kind of like how DeSantis brings it up. He just brings them up like surface level stuff that ain't real. And you heard Tucker there? I'm going to sidetrack for a second. I just posted on X. I would like to see Tucker Carlson as Speaker of the House. Why not? Who's against Tucker Carlson for Speaker of the House? I'm for it. I ain't got no problem with it. I got no problem at all with it. Taco says, it's an invasion. Why else would so many single military aged men be crossing the border? If you check out Patriots of America, American Republic, Carlos it was so greatly timed on immigration right at the height when it's blowing up right now. We had a whole two-part recorded on immigration. And he's brought this take up. Maybe you've heard it before. I didn't hear it before he said it. He said, well, why are these people coming here with the flags of their country? They're military-aged men, and they're not even coming. He said, I would at least respect it a little bit if they had American flags. You know, they're coming here like, I want to be American. I like free speech, even though I don't know what it really means. I like free speech. I like to have rights. If they're coming here with the American flag, wouldn't that even at least look better? No, they're coming here in 2020, literally coming across the border with Biden-Harris shirts. Across the border, some of them, at least. They're coming with their flags of their country. Now, I'm going to need you to put that away if you're going to cross up in here. I said, I'm not against the person trying to get here. I will add an addendum, a qualification to it. I am against your ass coming here if you're coming here with the flag of the country you are fleeing from. That doesn't make any sense to me. I am very greatly against you. Now, if you come here and you rep the flag, I don't even like that. But if you do rep the flag, but then you also rep the American flag, got you. But if you're coming up in here and you got my parents are Jamaican, so I put Jamaica. It's not many Jamaicans coming through the southern border, but probably some. Jamaican flag. You come in through with your Cuban flag, Guatemalan, Venezuelan. You come in with those flags, I'm going to need you to get out of here. I am against you. I saw videos on X with people showing like flashlights on people. Like, I think this was New York. It's wild, man. Like they had bright flashlights in the middle of the night just shining on the immigrants, just basically saying, we see you. Things are getting pretty wild. The timeline of what happened today, if you're just joining the live, thank you. This is a one-topic live. This is a historic live. I kind of went through and said, you know, what kind of was the timeline of today. Let's go through then kind of relive a little bit of the timeline if you don't know what happened. A lot happened today, let's just say that. So we started the day this morning looking at it, and I was at work, and I was trying to keep an eye on it and get my work done and stuff. Kevin McCarthy started out the day. I think now I'm almost willing to say it was a bluff. It doesn't make sense otherwise. I don't think Kevin believed this. He's a very good, it's like as a good poker player. And you see them at the river and they had, 7-2 offsuit or, whatever. They had ace little or something like that. Ace little suited or something like that. They're bluffing. And then maybe on the turn, there was all, they had the chance at the flush. They were bluffing. And I think he was bluffing. So McCarthy early in the morning said, I fought for what I believe in. I believe I can continue to fight, but maybe in a different manner. Gaetz launched his formal motion the night before. Midday, there was debate and tensions. Majority Whip Tom Emmer defended McCarthy during the debate. Emmer stated, we need Kevin McCarthy to remain as our speaker. We're going to stay focused on our mission of delivering common sense wins for the American people. That sounds ridiculous. Even if you're a corporate person, you don't need Kevin McCarthy. Democratic stance, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, the protege of Nancy Pelosi. I bet you he agrees with me that Nancy Pelosi is that real deal. announced that Democratic members will vote yes on Gaetz' motion to oust McCarthy. Jeffrey says it is now the responsibility of the GOP members to end the House Republican civil war. That doesn't explain the political chess there, and I would have to do more research to figure it out. In the afternoon is when it went down, the final vote tally. As you can see, you needed 8. Well, you didn't need 8, but you needed them. The final vote tally was 216 to 210, with 8 Republicans breaking ranks to join all Democrats in voting to remove McCarthy. This is sourced from Reuters, ABC News, CNN. The cool thing about ChatGPT is I can say I'm not reading those articles. It's rewording and summarizing, but the cool thing is it's multiple articles. So I tell it summarize these articles and eliminate the redundancy. So this is written, you could say this is a middle MAGA. I didn't put it up on the website, but this is a middle MAGA exclusive kind of summary of all these other articles. The House looked set to go leaderless for at least a week, as multiple Republicans said they planned to meet on October 10th to discuss the possible McCarthy successors, with a vote on a new speaker planned for October 11th. That's going to come up, they're saying, next week. McCarthy's remarks, and part of the reason they want recess is there will be some wheeling and dealing and discussion. They need some time to recoup from this one and to plan. This evening, McCarthy had those remarks, said he wouldn't change a thing. I know he wouldn't. He felt fortunate to have served as speaker. It was a hot second, bruh. So I'm glad that you're grateful. He also told colleagues that he would not run for speaker again. I was surprised, but he got politically damaged and there might be a plan here. Gaetz said the one thing that the White House Democrats and many of us on the conservative side of the Republican caucus have in common is McCarthy said something to all of us at one point that he really didn't mean and never intended to live up to. And that's true no matter, even if you're on the corporate side, he's a sleazeball like that. Hakeem Jeffrey said the Democrat members were helping, kind of end the House Republican civil war. Republican reaction. Several McCarthy supporters indicated they plan to offer his name for the next round, but that's not going to work, as we talked about. Other members of the GOP leadership, including Majority Whip Tom Emmer, as we talked about, and Majority Leader Steve Scalise, have also been floated as potential replacements. Historical context: the last time a motion to vacate occurred in the House was 1910. And it was actually brought to the House, I believe, by the person. I have to read about that one. Joseph Cannon. I think Joseph Cannon brought it on himself. If I understand the historical ramifications of that one when I was researching this, and he was trying to prove that he had, support. And I guess it worked. And so that's basically what happened throughout the day there. I just have some other notes from what happened there. Future leadership, that's where we should go right now. A lot of people were throwing out the name of a guy. He probably is about 6'4". He may be 6'2" in reality. He has orange hair, an orange tan, and he moves his hand like this when he talks a lot and says, excuse me. A lot of people are saying maybe he should be speaker. I don't know. Let's see let's see.
I think they're not going to have the champagne out. They're going to come in viciously. You can see the way McHenry banged that gavel down there. He and Graves, because they understand they got fired. All the whole gang around McCarthy all get swept aside now. All get removed. And they go back to being congressmen, but they're removed from essentially power. They're not in leadership anymore, which has massive power here in the imperial capital. I think that as people think it through, for your consideration, we should think about President Donald J. Trump. And people go, this is Bannon. He's a bomb thrower. He's a chaos agent. I actually think
they're throwing out, seriously, this is not a joke. This is in a serious manner. Is it going to happen? I'm out of the prediction game, but they're throwing it out in a serious manner. Donald Trump is Speaker of the House.
If you want to get people organized and on the same page, the Keebler elves are finished. Youngkin's not going to happen. We're going to make sure of that. Youngkin is not going to. We're going to ensure that he does not.
Sorry, Barton Bella in the chat. Great friend of the show. Barton Bella is a DeSantis supporter. Got no beef with that. But Bannon has moved on from DeSantis. He ain't even talking about DeSantis. He's talking about Youngkin. Youngkin's not stupid enough to get into this game. They're trying to throw, allegedly, donors are trying to throw, they're saying, hey, the money we're throwing at DeSantis, we'll throw it at you if you want to run. And he's not stupid. He's like, why would I come into this and ruin my political future?
Youngkin's not going to happen. We're going to make sure of that. Youngkin is not going to. We're going to ensure that he does not. He'll pose a bigger threat than President Trump is DeSantis. They're going to try, but it's not going to be real. So
Ray Studio says Tim Pool for House Speaker. You know what would make me mad about that is he wouldn't do his daily show. So in a very selfish way, no, I'm not good with that. Even as much as I like Tucker, you know, I'm a big Tim Pool fan. Tucker, I could go without his show. As great as it is, do not get me wrong. I wouldn't be able to go. When Tim is out and he doesn't do his IRL, I'm like, where do I go right now? I typically go back to like a Nick Fuentes because I used to listen to Nick every night and I haven't. So if Tim's out, then I'll go back and listen to Nick from the night before and be like, damn, I should listen to Nick every night. But you only have so much time in the day. But Barton Bella is absolutely right on Donald Trump. Barton Bella came at Trump saying McCarthy should never have been speaker. Trump made that horrendous deal. He should have went, but not at this time. Trump, I guess there was the deal that Trump was behind the scenes. Remember when MTG took the call from Trump and then tried to give the phone to Matt? That was one of MTG's worst moments. It was like a little tattletale or something like that. She had Donald Trump on the phone, and Matt Rosendale was going to vote against. I think he did it in that round against McCarthy, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to try to go up to Matt Rosendale, knowing the cameras are rolling, and saying, "Hey, Donald Trump wants to talk to you. Are you going to take the call?" And Matt can't take the call. I'm like, I'm in business right now. I'm doing, what do you mean? I'm in the bit. This is like a heated moment right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene, what a terrible moment. But the point I brought that up is I agree with you. Donald Trump was off there. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say?
So, given that Trump is essentially the nominee, who better to bring this party together and to do it now? They said, well, we can lose the House. We did. Let's bring it together now. Let's bring it together now. I was very serious about it in January. And if they had taken our advice in January, we wouldn't be where we are today. Number one, you would have never had that debt deal. Impossible.
The debt deal in the summer.
Impossible. And you would have had real investigations. You would have had real impeachments underway. I actually think Merrick Garland and
now he's talking about not Biden. He's talking about Garland, Ray,
Mayorkas, and Chris Ray have been the first three.
Yep. Yeah, I would have been much more behind the impeachments of them, even though you just replaced them with another one of them. That's a stronger statement than impeaching Biden, I think. If you look at this here, this is Jim Jordan. He was asked about Donald Trump. This is not unironically.
I've now heard from a number of people. I know for a fact Donald Trump has been contacted about possibly him being an interim speaker. Is that a reality?
I don't know. He'd be great, but I want Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States. If he wants to be speaker,
well,
great.
He'd still,
but,
I
want him to be president of the United States.
President. He's still going to be running for president.
Right. That's where we need him, is at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. If he wants to be speaker, then that's fine too.
Jim looks like somebody who wants to be speaker, doesn't he?
I've now heard from a number of people. I know for a fact Donald Trump has been contacted about possibly him being an interim speaker. Is that a reality?
I don't know. He'd be great, but I want Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States. If he wants to be speaker,
well,
great.
I
want him to be president of the United States.
President.
Jim Jordan's playing that game like, oh, I love Trump. He'd be great. And in the back of his head, he's like, just stop talking about that. I'm the next Speaker of the House. That's where we're going. There's a political article that came out with Jim Jordan. Who would be Speaker? Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that. I summarized. This is just one article from Politico. It's actually a very interesting, it's establishment supporting website, but they do a good job in their report, in their structuring of the website and everything. So we're looking at who's going to take over. Right now we have Patrick McHenry as the interim speaker, a guy who kisses up to Trump in a fake way, in my opinion. I believe Trump supports him back as well. House Republicans have postponed it till next week. So they're abandoning their plans to pass party line spending bills. Remember, you only got 45 days for that thing, and you're going to waste 7 days. We don't even have a speaker. So we're heading towards a shutdown. I don't know. I got to look at the math, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do another continuing resolution without a speaker. They're going to get a speaker before then, I would hope, but no guarantee. So, but you're losing days. Even if you get a speaker on the 11th, then I don't know, it takes a couple days or whatever to get, because the speaker comes, they're cleaning house. It's almost like a head coach, and you get rid of the head coach, but you got the whole staff. So you got to get the speaker in there, and then now they're all jostling like it's Jim Jordan, like calling up Jim, I can be your whatever, or your whip, or whatever I be, and they're all doing that stuff. Then you got to situate that. So by mid-October, then you'll be set. Then, I don't know, they'll probably have another vacation. Oh, what the hard work of what? Working out who's going to kiss whose ass. And then I don't know their schedule, but it seems like they work for like a day or two, and they're like, oh, gosh, I had to put in 10 minutes today. Jamal Bowman's like, oh, I pulled a fire alarm for these people. I need a vacation. And then before you know it, it's 45 days. Then you had the reaction. People say it's a leadership crisis. Somebody in the chat said it was a good comment in the chat. Said what? Chaos is, what was the comment in the chat? I forgot it. It was the chaos. They try to conflate, really trying to take back control with chaos is what they really try to do. I agree with that chat as well. So this is going to be a scramble. Steve Scalise, that's the guy who got shot by a Bernie Sanders supporter. I don't believe in stochastic terrorism, but the people who do never bring that example up. My guess would be Elise Stefanik. She is very good at playing both sides. She's almost like a female Byron Donalds, but just not as boisterous. I don't think Tom Emmer is going to get it. I don't think Steve Scalise is going to get it. I think it's going to be Elise Stefanik or Jim Jordan. And Jim Jordan has way more kind of like gravitas in that world. GOP's waning confidence in McCarthy. We already knew that. Uncertain road ahead. Kevin Hearn stated he would continue to support McCarthy as long as he was running. We saw that. So we don't know you have to see, the challenge is you've got to get people like Kevin Hearn behind someone. They'll never get behind Trump. Might not even get behind Jim Jordan. So this is not going to be an easy thing. This could take a while. We could be in another cycle of how many votes. We're in the same spot. You've got to get the majority or you vote again. So there were discussions of potentially ousting Matt Gaetz from the conference due to his role in McCarthy's removal. So you have got that too. They're still looking into that. I think that the expulsion of Matt Gaetz is probably over at this point. We'll see what happens. I don't think you have the political sway to do it. It wouldn't even look right at this point. McCarthy ally Kelly Armstrong, North Dakota, mentioned that a lot of people are raising questions about Gaetz's future in the conference. Yeah, there's a lot to be worried about if you're Matt Gaetz about retaliation. Possible repercussions for other Republicans. Other Republicans who are supporting McCarthy's ouster may face consequences. That sounds ominous. Is that a threat? Nancy Mace may be removed from the more centrist Republican governance group for supporting McCarthy's removal. And that means money, backing, emotional reactions, and meetings. After McCarthy's ouster, Patrick Patrick McHenry met with several allies and deputies, including Garrett Graves, French Hill, Dusty Johnson, Tom Emmer. None spoke publicly after the meeting. David Joyce, longtime McCarthy supporter, expressed his disappointment, stating he didn't understand how McCarthy could lose his job for doing the right thing. The GOP's existential questions. The party's in reflection mode, and Troy Niels emphasized he was one of the first people who said Trump for House. The lack of a clear alternative to McCarthy, while Rep. Robert Adderholt stated that no one really knows what will happen next. I'm fine with that. That's basically the summary there, throwing out Jim Jordan and a lot of other stuff from Political. I could never say political. I always want to say political. Oh. Let's check in. How are Democrats doing with this? And I'm just joking. I mean, I don't have confirmation that this person is a Democrat. They're not reacting to the ouster of Kevin McCarthy, but I'm still going to have this take. Let's check in. How are black women Democrats doing with Kevin McCarthy being ousted? Oh. Whoa. Is that Cori Bush? Would somebody check if Cori Bush is around just to make sure that's not her? If you're just listening, it looks like an episode of Black Mirror. This is a Walmart.
Just one last one from the front.
And there's a fat black woman in the middle of the floor yelling Walmart is racist with about 50 to 100. Why she's wearing leggings, I have no idea. While 50 to 100 people are standing in awe, looking shocked with their cell phones on. MAGA, this is the black woman take. MAGA is racist! That could be Jamel Hill before she lost the weight. Could be Joy Reid. Could be Nicole Hannah-Jones. Could be Cori Bush. Could be the new woman that they picked to fill the seat. What's her name? LaFana or whatever. She's a black lesbian. I wonder if she's a black lesbian too. MAGA is racist!
Just one last one from the front.
So what happened to have a black overweight woman on the floor with 1 foot with no sock or shoe on, trying to get arrested by the cop? The cop can't arrest her because he really can't get around her to kind of get her arms tied up. What would have caused something like this? A woman and a state trooper were involved in this incident, and I summarized article on it. What was the incident that they were involved in? The woman slapped the state trooper and was pinned to the ground. She then screamed, "Walmart is racist." This incident occurred on October 2nd, shortly after 6:30 p.m. The event took place. It was an event. People are circling around like it was a MMA fight or one of those car shows, drag street shows where they are doing drifting with the. What is that when they do the car drifting, where people are in a circle watching and the car is like a millimeter away from you, about to hit you? I don't know what that culture is, but that's what that was. It was like they were all in the circle with the car drifting, but in this case, it was the walrus that was on the middle of the floor. The woman initially argued with the state trooper and encouraged him to drag her out the store. Kind of like how George Floyd said, "Take me out of the car." She threw merchandise at him, and when he tried to restrain her, she slapped him in the face. The New York State Police clarified that the incident was not related to shoplifting, but was a result of the woman experiencing a mental health issue. She was taken to a local hospital after the altercation. I'm sure it wasn't a shoplifting incident. Thanks for clarifying that. Walmart did not comment on the incident and referred inquiries to the authorities. I just wanted to check in to see how the typical black woman Democrat's going. Not going well. Nancy Mace released a statement, and it was a pretty lengthy Twitter thread. Again, we're seeing the importance of X. Nancy Mace makes one of the most important decisions of her career, of her lifetime, historically as well. And where does she go to talk about it? On X. Just like I'm live on X right now. Shout out if you're watching on X. They need a live chat. But it doesn't matter. If you don't funnel the live chat through StreamYard, I'm not going to be able to see it. I just can't break the flow to be going over. And so I apologize. If you're on Rumble, Twitch, Odyssey, shout out to you. Today, and Facebook, today I voted for the motion to vacate. This is Representative Nancy Mace. If you don't know, this is her right here. You probably recognize her. She gets good TV time. She's very recognizable. She says this isn't about left or right. This isn't about ideology. This is about trust and keeping your word. This is about making Congress do its job. I promised the Low Country I would be an independent voice in Congress, that I would call the balls and strikes and do the right thing regardless of party. The Speaker has not lived up to his word on how the House would operate. She's going down the MAGA path, and I want her to be rewarded for doing so. I don't trust anybody, but I still want her to be rewarded for doing so. Kevin McCarthy would have been rewarded for doing so. No budget, no separate spending bills until it was too late, a continuing resolution which takes spending power out of the hands of the people and puts all the power into the hands of a select few. There has also been no action on many issues we care about and were promised. We were promised we would move on women's issues and legislation to keep our communities safe. Those things never happened. I came here to take difficult votes and do the right thing, regardless of the pressure and regardless of the threats, because there have been plenty of both. Today, I'm voting against 95% of my party in the hopes of fixing how Congress operates. With the current Speaker, this chaos will continue. We need a fresh start so we can get back to the people's business free of these distractions. I'll work with anyone willing to do that and look forward to voting for a Speaker who shares this vision for changing Congress and getting us back on a path to delivering results for the people. Independent voice. 7 out of 7 Twitter thread, X thread from Nancy Mace. Very notable moment. I'm going to give you my takeaway of all the stuff from today. The one thing I wanted to get through before I was gone, Ilhan Omar, she was just checking things out. Don't mind her. Ilhan Omar. Tim Young says, why does it look like Ilhan Omar is getting all hot and bothered by Matt Gaetz? Is that what? Maybe Ilhan is a real populist. I think Matt Gaetz showing her what true populism is a turn on for her. She's licking her lips. If you can't see the video, if you're watching on the podcast, she's got that look on her face. I don't know why. I don't know what's going through her head. She seems to be looking at the backside of Matt Gaetz. And all I can say is Matt Gaetz is being the alpha now. He's doing the populism thing. And when that happens, people are going to notice. It's okay, Ilhan. You can do. I mean, you know how she rolls. She can do how she rolls. But my serious takeaway from this is I want to keep the momentum going. That's why Matt Gaetz was like, no, we don't want to go on recess. We getting some wins here. It's like taking a timeout during a basketball game. No, we don't need that timeout. We just went on a little run. People got to win through Matt Gaetz. If you want to know why all this madness, why politics matters, why would I do a whole live on this? Going on an hour and 40 minutes on one topic, one historic moment. Why would I talk about this and not whatever football game was on yesterday or whenever it was on? Why would I do that? If you don't know why you're going to the grocery store and you can only afford half of what you used to, if you don't know why, in part, why you're going to the gas pump and the prices are going up, in part, I mean, there's a responsibility to go around. This is not a pro-Trump thing. Trump was a part of this too, but this is way before Trump. You could go back at least to Obama and the bailouts when they kept interest rates low artificially. Why is all that happening? Why is money going to Ukraine when the infrastructure in New York looks like a hellhole? Where New York is experiencing flooding, they're built on rivers and water. So you might have to have good infrastructure. If you are, you might have to spend a lot of money. But instead, they're walking around with Ukraine flags. Why is it happening? The same interests that support Kevin McCarthy, the same interests that are going after Matt Gaetz. And that's why we look at this as a win, because this is a punchback. It's a legitimate one. This is not retaliation. Matt Gaetz laid it out. This is not retaliation. I'm not fully against retaliation, but I'd rather go to Liberty. I did a live on that one. This is, you did not live up to your agreement. We have leverage, and we will show you that we will wield power. It's a moment to celebrate. Let's go to the comments. New immigrant Viva Frey. You guys were talking about Viva? I like Viva. Metalopoli says to Barton Bella, I'm not mad at all. Just ask for an example of someone in the MAGA side campaigning for Trump instead of discussing the issue at hand. So I didn't see what the interaction is. Man, this whole DeSantis thing has really got me. That's why I didn't. That's the real reason I didn't want DeSantis to run, because I knew that this would be something that would be very hard for us to come to work through. The primary, the stakes are so high. The stakes are really, really high right now. So you've got, I'm hoping that we can, Mr. Super Chat, my bad, Ray. $2 Super Chat. Ray says, Wayne McEachron for House Speaker, book it. Who's that? No, I have a no goofy nigga rule for House Speaker. So no, Ray, I do not support whoever Wayne McEachron is for Speaker. I would not be. Yeah, I don't want to have those targets on my back like Matt Gaetz does. Matt Gaetz might look down and have red dots on his shirt, like at any moment. Nah, I'm good. Thanks for the super chat, Ray. We were talking about Chip Roy's statement about McCarthy. I did see something like that. I did not have that, so I'm not aware of it. I'll look it up real quick. Chip Roy, McCarthy. I thought, did Chip? Okay, so Chip Roy called him his coach or whatever. I'm going to read that. I have not seen it. This is the first I've seen it, so let's do it on the fly. It looks like it's a pro-McCarthy vibe. And I've always known Chip Roy isn't really like Matt. He's been based on a lot of things, so I'm not worried. He's a DeSantis guy, though, right? Today I'm voting against the motion. Oh, I actually did see that. I did see that because it came up in a conversation where we're talking about DeSantis and Massey, Thomas Massey as well. Today I'm voting against the motion to vacate Speaker McCarthy. My position has been and remains that the status quo of massive spending, open borders, funding proxy wars, and weaponized government is unacceptable. So where's the but? This is what happens. Oh, wait. What's going on with the thread? Sorry, I can't. Let me, where's the rest of it? Do we not have his thread? I thought he had a thread. Maybe I'm tripping. Okay, well, there's no thread that I see here. He had 1 of 4, so maybe he did it as posts and not a thread. Trending on X, I'll just leave it there. I get the gist of it. Pro McCarthy. So, yep. I think you know where I stand on that. Pelosi speaking. How is Pelosi trending? What did she do? This is Tom Fitton. 8 months ago, Matt Gaetz appeared on Timcast just after the vote for Speaker. He gave insightful 20 minutes opener, and I'm going to thread and bring into context. I have not seen this. It's on topic. Let's listen to it. Thanks for curating. There's a big value in curating information.
He believed that Washington was broken. The normal system of selecting leadership in both parties is based on the redistribution of lobbyist and special interest money. Like, if you want to be the leader of your party, you basically have to raise and redistribute north of $100 million. And Kevin McCarthy was so good at that, he raised and distributed about $500 million over the course of the last election cycle.
Now, you could imagine, say that you're a politician and Kevin McCarthy has raised millions of dollars to keep you in power. How are you going to go against him? And then on top of that, if you go against him, he will use millions of dollars to get you up out of power. So it's not like, say, Kevin McCarthy was able to funnel you. They got it through the Ponzi scheme from SBF, the FTX stuff, and they got you $2 million for a raise. I'm just throwing numbers out there. So you go at McCarthy. Now you lose that $2 million, but then on top of that, McCarthy funnels $10 million to your competitor. So not only do you lose the $2 million, to get back up on it, you need to get $12 million now. And then you might say, yeah, I'm not voting against McCarthy.
And so it creates a covenant that's not really built on trust or merit or vision, but trading money for political support. And we wanted to send a shock to that DC cartel system and to say, no, guess what? There's going to have to be a different way you get there. And the concessions we sought principally fell into like $3.
That was 8 months ago. Was that the one where Tim was out, or he had a voice issue? I think his voice was messed up in this one, if I'm not mistaken.
We wanted specific bills coming to the floor. We wanted commitments on when they would come to the floor. We wanted adherence to specific spending levels with a budget resolution. And the organizing principle of our policy goals was really to make sure that we would never again get an omnibus bill like we had to vote on. That's just a total joke of a way of governing. Like, how can we sit here and honestly say that bills that are thousands of pages long, that spend $1.7 trillion, and that you get 48 hours before having to cast a vote is really legislating? It's not. It devalues each individual.
Now, people accuse Matt Gaetz of trying to be retaliatory or making this personal. I don't know what's in his head. It could be. But his substance of what he says is on point. And that's all that matters.
Member, and it's insulting to our constituents to suggest that we even know what the hell we're doing when that's the way we run the railroad.
I like this. Did very short clips. I need to do that more when I do clips, just like real short.
Had policy concessions. Second was procedure. Having those 72 hours to read the bill, having open amendments. Like the youngest member of Congress was not yet born the last time the appropriations process went through regular order. And that just means like we should vote on the defense stuff.
So the good thing about this, I think this was 8 months ago. This wasn't his recent one. This was a while ago. But you see him, he's saying the same thing he's always been saying. Shows he's been consistent the whole time. Marjorie Taylor Greene has not been consistent. She's been waffling. Lauren Boebert hasn't been. A lot of people haven't. I'm not against Lauren Boebert, but I'm just calling it balls and strikes. So let's look at. I'm going to be wrapping it up. Tim Pool for House Speaker. Is there a fence for him to sit on? I said I want Tucker Carlson as House Speaker, and somebody replied, said, "Is there a fence in there for him to sit on?" Calling Tucker is Tucker really a fence sitter? I don't know about that one. I think Tucker's pretty base. Did y'all see that Tucker segment he did Oh man, it was good. Let's do it's the actual start of the segment. I like when he does his monologue and then brings the guest in. This one here felt just like the Fox News, but it's his new set and everything. But I like this part. I like when he does the monologue and then just brings the guest in right on the subject. So smooth, and he went back to his old school style here.
If you've ever wondered why it's taken you so long to figure out what's happening now in American politics, don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. It's hard for most Americans to comprehend the total dishonesty of American liberalism. Virtually nothing the liberal says is true. And the lies are not ordinary lies. The lies are so brazen, so aggressive and unending that it's difficult for a normal person to understand what's happening. 30 years ago, for example, liberals began to lecture us, softly at first and then in an increasingly high volume, about tolerance. How could you have known then that they planned, in fact, to usher in the most intolerant age in American history? They've done that now, but few people saw it coming. We shouldn't make the same mistake again. Liberals are now telling us they plan to protect American democracy, and that's the clearest possible sign that they intend to end it. 13 months from this week, the United States will hold a national election. In a democracy, citizens can vote for the candidate of their choice. That's not just a feature, it's the defining fact of the electoral system. The people rule. They can send anyone they want to Washington because they're in charge. But this year, in the name of protecting democracy, liberals have decided to strip Donald Trump's name from the ballot in states across the country. Trump is the front runner in the presidential race. He's currently beating Joe Biden in the polls. Yet liberals have decided that you should not be allowed to elect him president. That's not democracy. It's the opposite. It's totalitarianism. Just this morning, Donald Trump appeared in court in New York in a civil case brought by the state's attorney general that was designed explicitly to keep him out of the White House. That case is part of a larger legal barrage against Trump that so far includes a total of 91 felony counts, every one of them politically motivated. But today's civil case is especially absurd. In fact, it's hard to overstate its ridiculousness. In sum, Trump stands accused of inflating the value of collateral used to secure loans that he has already paid back with interest. In other words, there is no injured party in this case. The biggest banks in the world assessed the risk and they made a profit, as they almost always do. Not a single person was defrauded. For this non-crime, Trump and his children are in the process of losing their homes and their businesses. Here's MSNBC's live coverage of the hearing today. And as you watch, pay special attention to the judge in the case, Arthur Engoron.
And there you see President Trump, the former president, I should say, next to his attorney, and that's Chris Kise, who we expect to make the opening statements here. And then this, Judge Engoron, I guess, is Judge Engoron.
There he is, the judge, mugging like he's on stage in a middle school play, grinning, preening for the camera. Arthur Engoron is thrilled to be on MSNBC. It's nauseating. This is not a legal proceeding. This is a grotesque parody of the system that our forefathers created, the fairest in the world, that in the years since has been seized by power worshipers like Arthur Engoron. This is a dangerous moment. Without a legitimate legal system, people will no longer follow the law and the country will collapse. This is not about Trump. This is about preserving the United States of America. But Trump is at the center of the story. And so today, for an overview of what exactly the strategy to prevent Trump from running for president and to end...
That's why I wanted to show just the little monologue there. I like that style. Tucker has a great style. How he writes that, from what I hear, is he writes his own stuff. How he writes that is so... It's easy to read and come across as it's written, but flows naturally. That's not easy to do. So he's obviously extremely talented. The opening for Night Court, that was one of my favorite shows back in the day. David Larroquette, I believe, and great cast. That was back in the day when, I look back at those old shows. I think almost all of them were great. I think they were all like great shows. Looking in the chat here, Ray says Metalopoly for House Speaker. There you go. That'd be funny. That'd be fun. You can get that. You could get a lot of stuff going with Metalopoly as House Speaker. It's a lot of procedural stuff. It's a really like a boring job. It's really a lot of boring. Trump would hate that job. There's no job that Trump would hate more. It would be obviously he would be speaker, but he would just put somebody to do everything. He would never go. He would never be there. I think there's sometimes you have to be there, but Nancy wasn't there a lot. They did their own COVID rules, but you could make him temporary speaker and then let him do kind of what he wanted to do. Yeah, you could do that. How about the lectern guy? How about that? The lectern guy says he humbly accepts. Via X, of course, and Wokeness says, I nominate this guy for Speaker of the House. Oh, there you go. What's his name? Is his name Adam something? I don't see his name. Shoot, I forgot his name. Let me look it up real quick. I hate not. The lectern guy. I think it's Adam Johnson, is it? Lectern guy. And his name is, maybe he would rather go by the lectern guy, Adam Johnson. So the lectern guy says, I humbly accept. And I wasn't joking here. I replied to this and I was like, wait, actually, that's based. In all seriousness, maybe just temporarily, that should happen as a temporary acknowledgement that the J6 stuff is not over. We're not done with that kind of stuff. The J6 stuff is not over, and I don't care what you think about J6. That house is still the people's house. I think it would be a very fitting thing to nominate the lectern guy, Adam Johnson, as Speaker of the House. So that we're kind of throwing out everybody. That's the new joke in D.C. Who's going to be the Speaker of the House? I don't think it's going to be Byron Donalds. Nothing bad. He could do it, but I just don't know if he has the gravitas yet to kind of pull that all together.
As a state, and we've got Tyrone on the phone with us now. Tyrone, when you say poker
Did something
game,
go on?
what exactly happened? What transpired?
I'm looking at X. Looks like there was a shooting or something. I don't know if it's a big one or what. Man, the stories that were crazy about the two people. I think there was at least two people that died recently. I think many people have covered them, but I'm not going to cover them again. But they talked about, Scott Adams was, saying, hey, if you vote for Biden, you could be dead in a year. And someone replied to him, kind of being snarky, and they ended up dead. That's wild, man. They talk about an A or F exam that you just failed. Karma wins. Fatality. Man, it's tragic. It's tragic, though. That's all I have to say on that.
McCarthy is a happy warrior. He is tireless.
Elise Stefanik was up here speaking. I'm just going through X on kind of some of the stuff I have saved. And Elise Stefanik had some words to say. I've not heard this yet.
Knows that Kevin McCarthy is a happy warrior. He is tireless. He has that uniquely American grit. Under Kevin's speakership that lasted 15 rounds of him never giving up, this Republican majority has exceeded all expectations. Knows that Kevin McCarthy...
Ugh. I don't want her as speaker, Matt. But Jim Jordan did the same thing. Talking about all the bills they passed that didn't go anywhere. Huh? You got all these bills that passed, but they didn't go anywhere. And you want to tout that as something, some type of, I'm fine with that. You can't control the House, but don't tout it to me like you did something when that's the case. I mean, really, you're in D.C. to work with people. And I mean, if you can't work with them, you can't. I'm not going to blame them necessarily, but you can't come to me and say, well, we passed this bill on this. We passed the bill on this. But you didn't pass a bill. You passed it in the House. I think they try to play around with people that don't really follow this stuff to make them think like, because I've had that happen to me before where I'm like, wait, did they pass this bill or not? Oh, no, they didn't pass the bill. The bill didn't go anywhere. It's been fun. It's been a MAGA party. Got a little Mad Lion. I didn't expect Mad Lion today, but we got that in. Why am I on this name with this? You guys are too much, man, with these screen names. I posted this Mid-Journey meme of Donald Trump. Things are going to... Imagine Donald Trump as speaker coming in kind of dressed in a suit, but then dressed as Thor. Things are going to be a little different around here going forward. This is the new gavel. Donald J. Trump. Just a little Mid-Journey fun. It's a fun toy just to play with. Guys, you guys always have to... See, that's why we can't have fun. Like, I wasn't bringing that topic up, and somebody replies to me like, oh, yeah, he's going to be... come on, bro. We can't even have fun? Don't do that to me, man. We just try to live. There's somebody posted this video of a robot in Japan. And you can quickly see where we're heading with this robotic stuff. First, you start out with porn. That's a serious take. Most of these technical advancements start out is used for porn. And so you're going to have that first. But then after you get through that wave, you're going to have people use robotics for typically what people want to do, and that's fight. It's war. And somebody posted a picture of this robot. It's being used in Japan. And it's Japan startup develops Gundam-like robot with $3 million price tag. That robot is not just a robot, in my opinion. It's a prototype, allegedly, because I don't have any proof of that, of it being a prototype. So this thing looks like a transformer if you're just listening, and somebody's inside of it. That's like a mech suit. The goal will be to have that thing autonomous like a Tesla bot. That's what the goal is going to be, and it will get there. When I say autonomous, meaning it will make decisions on its own. Nobody will be controlling it. It'll be programmed, but it'll be having AI in it. So they got big transformer robots. This thing works. It goes very slow, but it's got fingers, and it kind of transforms into like a vehicle and stands upright. You could see Russia, Ukraine looking at that like we could put some bombs on that thing. That's where we're heading with the robotics. We all know it too. We're on a collision course with destiny, and that destiny will be elimination of the human race one way or the other. Maybe we will be able to download ourselves and put ourselves in a better position somewhere else. That's probably what the saving grace is going to be. Ron DeSantis is still hanging in there, isn't he? We'll see. This guy right here is a tough one to beat. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'm out. Peace.